all honesty, I have no intention of ever cosplaying Superman at any point. It's never been on a list. But if I did do it, there's a huge problem with this area. Like, for every superhero that has a secret identity, bro is the only one that just... I feel like even if I did want to cosplay Supes, I would come up with some sort of helmet or mask design, but that might just take away from the character. That's not even what this video is about. That's how you know it's one of my videos. You never know what the point of it is. Hey, what's up? I'm Miles and welcome back. Or if you're new, God help you. Anyway, I had an idea, which is pretty rare of me, because if you've seen anything from my page, you know there's nothing but a hat rack up here. Ooh, speaking of which, yep, it's a video for a hat. Recently, I've been seeing new set photos people have been posting from the new Superman Legacy movie of the new costume, kind of going around, and I thought it was pretty cool. And of course, I wanted to talk about it and react sort of to it. If you don't know, my name is Miles and I am a cosplayer. I've cosplayed a variety of different characters over my years as a cosplayer, my most popular being Spider-Man and a bunch of different variants of that, but I've also cosplayed different characters such as a biker scout trooper from Return of the Jedi, Ghost from Call of Duty, Daft Punk, my own collection of custom Spider-Man suits, and my custom design concept Bumblebee B-127 Cyborg Transformer, whatever it was. It was pretty cool. Needless to say, I wear costumes a lot. So I wanted to try and spitball a new video series idea, sort of a cosplayer reacting to new costumes or suits within media, pop culture, all that fun stuff. So with all that being said, as I said before, my name is Miles. I'm a cosplayer, but I am also a professional illustrator. If you guys don't know, that's something that I don't talk about a lot on here. I actually do have a degree in illustration and fine art with a specialization in concept art and character concept design. I have an entire Instagram account dedicated to my art. You can check that out if you want. Why am I telling you about that? That has nothing to do with this video. Well, it sort of does, because while I am a cosplayer and I love cosplay designs, being an artist who specializes in concept art and character design gives me a bit more of a different viewpoint when looking at character design and costume concepts. I look at the suit not just from what we are seeing, but from what the designers put into it and what I may have done to conceptualize or design the suit differently. Anyway, those are kind of my credentials. So, anyway, the point of this video, Superman. Let's talk about him. If you are unaware, there is a new Superman movie coming out. I don't exactly know when, but it is in production at the moment. The movie is titled Superman Legacy. It is a new reboot of the DC Extended Universe, and the movie is being spearheaded and directed by James Gunn. The movie was announced back in 2023, and we got a little bit of details in the late December of that same year. The new Superman, Clark Kent Kal-El, will be played by David Corenswet. David Corenswet? I believe that's his name, David Corenswet. I'm just gonna call him David because I'm sure there are other channels and videos out there who've done deep dives and broken down every little frame we've gotten. That's not me. I'm here to talk about the suit. Cosplayer reacts to the new Superman suit. So the basic suit breakdown. The suit follows a very classic old school comic Superman design, keeping that OG design and layout from like the most basic action comics of Superman. The color palette is very simple. It's as Superman as you can be. The classic three primary colors, red, blue, and yellow, that are pretty much used in every classic Superman design. The primary color, of course, being blue, that covers most of the bodysuit, with a strong red secondary that comes in on the boots, the cape, the trunks, and the primary part of the symbol. And the tertiary color being yellow for the very prominent belt and the back end of the symbol. Now, keeping with the color, the saturation and tone of the suit is actually very difficult to tell based on the two different promo images that we've got. The first image was actually an official promo shot. It was an HD shot edited to perfection, and it was meant for us to be seen in that way. In the showcase, we see Corenswet in a new suit beautifully, and in this image we see a bit of a darker blue, yellow, and red. All of the colors appear to be much less saturated, darker overall, and passed over with a cooler filter. However, in the recent set photos that people are now talking about, it's kind of the exact opposite. In the set photos, the colors look a lot more washed out, saturated, and kind of flat. Now, this is most likely just due to the unofficial nature of the shot. There's no HD, there's no lighting, they're outside, they're filming, it's not an official shot, it's just like a promo set photo. But the colors definitely look different between these two. Like we said before, the suit follows pretty much the basic outline of a Superman layout. A basic suit with trunks and a belt, emblem on the chest, and a cape in the back with red boots on the bottom. In this suit, the emblem is a lot larger than in some others, and the middle portion of the S is very wide, using that strong red color with the yellow backing and then yellow lining on the outside of the emblem to kind of wrap it all together. The emblem itself is very simplistic, and the wide middle portion of the S reminds me of the classic comic look. The suit also opts to have a higher collar on the neck portion versus all of the past suits that have cut down at the neckline like a normal t-shirt. On both sides of the collar, the cape actually rolls up to the front to be right between the shoulder blade and the neck, adding some new depth and dimension to the front of the suit and the cape overall. Moving down to the bottom, there's not much to say as they kind of keep it pretty basic and simplistic. They got the classic red trunks with the wide belt loops for that prominent yellow belt to slide right through. The boots ride up to just below the kneecap, and they have that little upside down trapezoid slice right dead center. And the boots look to be a different material than the actual suit. The suit itself looks like it's some sort of thick fabric. The boots definitely look more like leather. The cape is gorgeous. It's trimmed up thin at either side of the neck, then gets wide as it wraps to the back over the traps, and it tapers down to a wider design as it gets down to his feet but hovers right before it hits the bottom. The cape also has the same Superman logo in yellow on the back of it. The last part of the suit, or I guess the overall look, would be the hair, and I got no complaints on that. It's gorgeous. The hair is great. He's got the little floopy loop. It's great. Yes, the hair is a very essential part of Superman's costume. Trust. So now comes the part that you may have seen a little bit of controversy over in the past few days. The suit itself is very classic and minimalistic, and personally I do enjoy that. However, I've noticed that there are two things most prominently people are pointing out after all these set photos have come out that they kind of have an issue with. The first thing would be the actual size and bagginess of the suit, how it affects the actor's body and how it lays over all of the folds, the creases, the muscles, all of that. It's very large. It looks more so like a jacket versus a traditional skin-tight Superman design or Superman suit, or even going so far as to say a classic superhero suit. It deviates way far off of that and opts more for a three-dimensional suit that looks, again, like I said, more like a jacket, a thicker material. Now, this isn't inherently a bad thing for suits in general. It works a lot of times. The first thing I can think of at the top of my head is the third Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Those guys wore that same jacket material, that same larger, baggier jacket, and it worked. The actual idea of having baggier clothing, of having like a cargo jacket or more tactical wear isn't necessarily bad. But for the character of Superman, it might be a bit out of place or out of touch in the design element. Or at the very least, you could say it's a bit of a different approach that we're not used to seeing. And also, I do want to point out, if you've seen a bit of the promos of the actor himself, when this movie was in early production, the dude is jacked. He was in the gym putting on that Superman build, that Superman muscle, and I was expecting to see him like basically popping out of a suit like that. And seeing him in a bit of a larger suit that kind of bags over and doesn't really showcase the muscular physique that he worked so hard to get, I don't know, kind of feels like a bit of a disservice to that, to his physique, to the Superman shape, all that stuff. This isn't really a complaint. It's more or less me just pointing out that the dude worked really hard to get that Superman physique, and I kind of wish the suit was designed to showcase that a bit more. That's probably just a personal gripe though. And the second thing that people have been pointing out they don't like about this suit is the excessive use of detail. Now hold up, stay with me. You might be wondering, why is detail a bad thing? It's not really a bad thing. Sometimes it can just be overdone, and in a case like this, I think people are more so thinking it was overdone. It wasn't needed, it wasn't necessary, and it falls into the MCU modernized suit design effect. Ever since the Marvel Cinematic Universe became a thing, costume designers, screenwriters, directors, Hollywood, pretty much anybody who's making large budget superhero movies feels the need to take beautiful comic classic suits, rip them into live action, but then for some reason they add a bunch of random shit to modernize it, like all of these random directional lines that don't need to be there, armor plating, armor padding, gauntlets, boots, random stuff that doesn't necessarily need to be there that completely changes the look of a comic design. Now, this isn't again inherently a bad thing. Sometimes things do work in that favor. Sometimes it does offer a very modern approach to a classic comic suit, and it's a cool change up. It's a cool evolution. The first thing I think of would be the Deadpool suit from both Deadpool 1, 2, and of course now 3. All of those are a great modern approach to a classic Deadpool suit. It keeps everything that you love about the classic, but it makes it modern. It makes it more realistic, gives it that leather, gives it that texture, but it doesn't overdo it. The flip side of that would be like Ant-Man's suit in Quantumania. It's kind of basic, it's kind of generic, doesn't have a lot going for it, and it kind of just takes all of the fun out of what Ant-Man would be in a cool concept. And then I've also noticed that weird like this design is on like every Marvel suit whatsoever. I'm talking about the impact that the modernized concept design has had on superhero costumes. And of course, that's kind of leaked into every new superhero project or every new project where they're taking an old comic design and modernizing it. And you'll notice that on Cornswit's new suit, they do that quite often. There's these lines underneath the abdomen that go down to the belt. There are these lines on the collar that go from the cape all the way over to the shoulders. There are these lines that wrap all the way around the shoulders. There's these different detailed lines that go down the arm on the gauntlet. There are, I think, 2 lines on the trunk and then lines on the belt that outline the outline of an outline. And then there's a bunch of designs that go down the leg that look almost like vents. It's almost as if they took a very classic Superman design, put it into Photoshop, and then just drew a bunch of lines on it to kind of showcase the shape of the body. They went around the pectoral muscle, they went around the suit, they went around the emblem, they went around the shoulders, and they did pretty much everything to go around the muscles and the direction that they go. Now, again, this isn't inherently a bad thing, but it can be overdone. Using my point back in the MCU, the first Spider-Man design in Homecoming, the Stark suit, people again pointed out the same thing. There's too many little details, there's too many weird lines that don't need to be there. There's weird directional and raised lines, there's weird textures that don't need to be there for a simple Spider-Man suit. They learned all the way through No Way Home that the final suit he swings in is a very simple suit. 2-tone, red and blue, webbing on the front, eyes and a mask, easy. They learned to go backwards and oversimplify, which works. Again, I want to stress this isn't necessarily a bad point to have too much detail on a suit, but for a character like Superman, where the majority of his costume designs have been that pretty simple, generic, minimalistic design, moving the other direction and making it look like armor, making it look like armor plating, padding around a suit, a jacket, certainly a new approach, and one that I'm unsure about how it will look. But again, that one promo image made it look really good, so with all the information, what are my thoughts on it? I'm not sure, but not in the bad way. On the one hand, I'm very optimistic about the design. I'm an aggressive optimist, so I'm gonna find things to be like pretty happy about. I think the design that we're given has a lot of potential. And I think that objectively looking at the suit, if you take the Superman logo off of it, is a great suit. It is a great designed suit. It looks great. The material is great. The way that everything works together is beautiful. It's just the fact that it is a Superman suit that is rubbing people the wrong way, because that's not really the direction that Superman goes in terms of a suit design. Maybe it's too much for a Superman design. Maybe it just looks the wrong way, but I personally think the design itself is great, but maybe Superman wasn't the best character to receive that style. I'm kind of up in the air about it. I'm kind of confused. I think I'm gonna need to see it on the big screen to kind of see how I feel about it overall, but I'm not like sitting here shitting bricks that, oh, it looks disgusting, it looks ugly. No, like, I think overall it looks great. I think it's a nice modernized update of a classic Superman suit, but maybe it went too far in a couple places. And let's put myself in the shoes of one of those concept artists. If I was in the position of designing a new Superman suit and my prompt was take a classic design and modernize it, one of my initial preliminaries probably would have had exactly that. One of my initial concepts would have had those lines, would have had the shoulder armor, just to kind of phase it out to see what works. Would it be my final design? Probably not, but I'm not gonna act like it wouldn't be something I would try. I definitely think we need to wait to see it in the film to properly judge it. I think using set photos like this that are done in poor lighting, without a proper camera, without proper posing, without proper setup, without proper effects, editing, post work, anything, I think that is a very unfair way to judge a suit. We aren't seeing the way that it is meant to be shown to the audience. And as a cosplayer, I can personally tell you that 1000% makes a difference. I've gone out on plenty of photo shoots with my photographer, and no matter how good my suit might be, there's always an angle where it doesn't look the best. There's always a spot where the lighting hits beautifully, but there's also another spot where the lighting doesn't match the right way. There's always poses that look great and poses that look really goofy. You gotta have like the pose, the lighting, the backing, the post effects afterwards, the different angles to get. You gotta basically make sure all of these things are lining up to get the perfect shot for pretty much anything you're doing. For every great shot, there's 100 bad ones, and I personally think that these on-set photos aren't really the best way to judge a suit. And to further prove that, look at that HD photo we got of him in the suit a little bit ago. That photo is gorgeous. People were freaking out over how great that looked. The lighting was great. The suit colors were great. The saturation was done properly. It was edited properly. He had a pose to go off of. He had proper lighting set up. He had proper direction. He had editing afterwards. Possible post work or effects added in. All of these things to make it look great. That's not to say it needs all of these things to be great, but I'm saying there are a lot of elements that go into it, and getting a blurry set photo isn't really the best element. As for the bagginess of the suit, I wish it was slimmed down a little bit more so it didn't look like a jacket and it was more so like snug to his body. More so just to show off his Superman physique, but at the end of the day, I don't think it's as bad as people are making it out to be. And for the detail thing, I personally would definitely do without it, or at the very least, tone it down. If used right, something like that could be really cool and could send a suit from being great to phenomenal, but if used wrong, it looks overdone and it looks tacky. My final rating of the suit is going to be a 7.5 out of 10. But if we use this image, it's going to be an 8.5 out of 10. That just goes to show what a professional setup can do. Anyway, I am super excited not only just to see this movie and see whatever story that they got cooking up over there, but to see this costume on screen and to see if it looks any better or maybe worse on screen. We'll see it then, and I think we can properly judge it then versus trying to judge the whole thing now. Anyway, let me know if you did enjoy this video. I would definitely be interested in turning this into a series of cosplayer reacts to suit designs of anything. I think it would be really cool to react to, break down, and go into that stuff just like we did in this video for Superman. Basically like the cosplay breakdowns we do for my cosplays, but they're for movies. You get the idea. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. Peace and love, do good things, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace. Wrong side again.
Yes, Spider-Man!